Good.
And welcome everybody to the Tikkun Zoom Shavuot. You're in room 3, and this is Freedom Even in This Most Trying of Times with Rabbi Ora Weiss. And just like to quickly remind everyone of our discussion norms of engagement, please just be respectful, of course, and just wish to thank all of our partners. And with that, I will take it away. Did you want to share your screen or anything, or
No, maybe towards the end, maybe we could do that, Nikon, with nerds, words. I really didn't get enough sleep last night. Okay.
no worries. Thank you.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm so happy you're still on the Shavuot track. This is good. So freedom. Um, Freedom is actually the evolutionary steps that humans have been taking ever since there've been humans on Earth. There's so many different kinds of freedoms. There's so many levels. It reminds me of my dear teacher, Rabbi Zalman Shalom Shachter Shalomi, of blessed memory. He has this favorite story he tells of one of his young sons, when he was just 4, said, Abba, Daddy, after you wake up, can you wake up more? Yes, of course. And I can imagine, because every time he would retell it, he was just filled with joy just at the memory that his son was already on track. So, yeah. So there is a way, we'll get into the different kinds of freedoms, but there is a way that you could find freedom for yourself in any moment if you're stressing out about how certain people in this country seem to be taking freedoms away one by one. But there's a way you can get peaceful and a freedom inside. So we're going to do just a very short imaginal exercise, not of something that hasn't been yet, but of something that actually you remember. I want you to think of a time when you felt totally at peace. Like just everything was just wonderful, peaceful. It could be when you were outside, at the ocean, on a mountain, on your lawn, in a house, in a room. Maybe there were people that you loved that were there. Maybe not. But I want you to close your eyes just for a moment and think of that time. And if there are more than one time, just pick one that stands out to you and picture everything about it. If you're outside, was there sun out? Is it shining on you? Are you warm? What does it look like? If you're inside, all the details of the room, anybody who was there, bring them in and picture them also. And just let you get your picture. And then we can sit with this for a minute. And when we finish, I want you to notice where in your body you feel it, what you feel from that experience. Okay, so let's just, for 1 minute, just picture that time and that place where you felt totally peaceful. Mhm. And where did you feel that in your body? Okay. So if people are willing, I'd like you to share not necessarily the experience itself, but where you felt it in your body. And you can just unmute and put up your hands. I'll call on anybody who has a hand up. Larry.
Thank you for that exercise, Rabbi. I had a memory back to when I was 15 years old. I won't share the whole memory, but feeling totally free on a clear night as I was walking home from a Friday night service, just as on my own. No one else from my family was with me, and just thinking how wonderful it was to be Jewish. And in my body just now, I started thinking about it in my mind, but I'm just back from a long walk, and the rest of my body felt very relaxed. The relaxation radiated to the rest of my body as I was thinking of something I haven't thought about for a long time.
Thank you. And I think I saw, who else's hand did I see up? Dove, please.
I went to my first Buddhist retreat and first time meditating for 6 days for almost 16 hours a day. We ate in a meditative style silently. It was 1 hour a day of sharing of what we thought from our individual selves and backgrounds, Jewish, Christian, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so profound that I felt so profoundly physically in a different space, physically relaxed, calm, more mental, I suppose, but not tense, open-hearted, full of feelings of love. And I think the most profound, actually, more of a feeling than the physical, was the feeling of no fear. I never had that before.
So no fear. What did that translate like into a feeling within you? Can you put it in a positive sense?
Well, as I said, sort of love, but more calmness rather than love. More kindness. I think kindness might be
No, I
the way
want you to go back to the love. There was something of love.
kindness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I see people are putting things in chats. I can't actually manage to see those. So if you said something there that you wish for everyone to see, like me, you could just say it, please. Anyone else? You don't have to tell me the experience. Just what I'm going for is how you feel now thinking of it, because it can be very impactful.
Well, I'd like to add very quickly. It's
Yes.
interesting you added the word now, because reflecting back, I haven't reflected on this in maybe 30 years in the same way. And you start to feel the same feelings or I start to feel of relaxation, of calmness, of peacefulness, just remembering the experience. So thank you.
Thank you. And who have I missed? Just actually unmute and talk. I can't keep track of.
Hi, it's Eileen. General lightness in my body and a connection to nature.
Ah, beautiful. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so this exercise, actually, I'm going to go off topic for just one moment, because this exercise has not only a benefit in helping you to be calm and in touch with higher things when things are going awry, but it's also the best tool that I've ever found for making a decision. So how is that? You go to this place, you do your meditation, you go to this place where you feel calm, whatever you feel, even love here. And you're trying to decide between two things. Are you going to do this or are you going to not do this? So then you're there and then you go into your, okay, I'm going to do this now, and see if you can retain the feeling that you had. If that doesn't work, you're not sure, then go back to the place where you're calm and you're feeling good, and then run the second thing by. Now I'm not going to do that, and see if that stays, the feeling can stay. So whichever one helps you more to stay in that peaceful feeling, that's your body's wisdom telling you this is what to do. Okay, that was just a little aside, but I found it so helpful over the years. When someone suggested that to me, I like, yeah. Okay, we're going a little bit to text for a while, because there are 4 stages of freedom, and very fortunately, we have them laid out in just 2 verses at the beginning of Exodus, where God tells Moses to tell the Israelites that I'm going to free them. Except there's not just that one sentence. There's actually 4 different things that is told. And we can go through what they meant at the time and expanded what it's going to mean now. Because, the Exodus story was sort of like encapsulates, our evolution as a people, not just Jews, but like humanity, really, of going from slavery to freedom. And there's different meanings in some of these words. So I'm going to start with the first one. God says, Hotseti, I will take you out. I will free you from bondage. So we're not talking now about slavery. We're talking about any kind of bondage, and specifically about the bondage of not knowing that you are not free, of not realizing that you are imprisoned. So you can be very miserable, but not realize that the problem is that you're not free. The Israelites, they had been enslaved for hundreds of years. They were born into it. They didn't have the concept of freedom. They knew that the punishments were coming. They were so harsh, and they cried out wordlessly to God. But it wasn't like, "Get me out of here." It was like, "This is too punishing. This is too awful." It's a very different thing. And so the word that's used, sate, to take out, to weed out, is the same word that we say when the stars come out. Yeah, the stars are brought out. It's not that they weren't there. It's like now you're aware because of the darkness that you can see that the stars are there, but they were there before it got dark. The same thing is inside us, understanding on an unconscious or subconscious level that, we're not free. And maybe we got some inspiration from above that, like, oh, yes, this is wrong. Not only just that the work is too hard, but I'm not supposed to be here. This is not who I am. Yeah, and so you need to know. I had this is a personal story. I had an experience when I was growing up of being on a very tight leash. My parents felt the need to really control me in a very extreme way. I shouldn't get dirty. I have to be say every place was dangerous. But they started earlier than I realized. So I was very passive, and I didn't understand why I was like that until much later. I just wound my way out of that being, but I didn't know what had caused it. Until about 6 months ago, I found an old picture of myself. I was 4 years old, fairly large for a 4-year-old, very cute. And the picture was me in a crib. I was at the end of my 4th year, and I was still in a crib. Now, I don't know any toddler that will put up with that today. I have a 2-year-old granddaughter, and she was like out of her crib when she was like not even 1 and a half. They're all screaming, you have this, you want to be free, right? You want to go see what's going on. You want to have a drink. You need to go to bed, whatever it is you need. And I didn't have that because I grew up somehow with this imprisonment. And when I looked at the picture, I mean, there were actually, the crib had like slats, and I looked at it was like prison, like holy shit. And I didn't know I wasn't free. All I knew was that I was unhappy. Another example is Harriet Tubman. She was born into slavery, and she said, and I'm quoting, I grew up like a neglected weed. I was totally ignorant of liberty. I didn't know it existed or didn't exist. Well, it turns out someone who's also Black, maybe formerly a slave, I don't know, from the North came down to where she was in the South and talked to her, and she understood for the first time she wasn't free, but that she could be free, and she escaped. And then she went on to be part of the Underground Railroad, and she freed hundreds of slaves because she understood she was free and they could be free, and taught them. She also famously said, and I've been quoting this for years, but I just found out that it was possible that she never said it. But even if she didn't say it, she probably thought it. And I think it's someone to say it. I freed hundreds of slaves. I could have freed hundreds more if only they understood that they were slaves. So that's the first step of freedom. Is that like you have to be aware, and it can be so subtle, that you don't even realize some things. I had this friend in high school, Bruce Fierstein. He wrote a book. This was in the 70s. Didn't get published until like 80, I think. Real Men Don't Eat Quiche. I don't know if anybody's heard of this book, but it was popular for a while. And it was a satire, but he was trying in a not teaching kind of way, but just in a humorous kind of way, like to make people aware of how some of these things are just so ridiculous, but you're so used to them, you don't realize it, right? That men eat steak and potatoes, but it's so subtle. I mean, it's not like anybody told you some of these things, but you just, you absorb it, and the only way to get free is to all of a sudden be aware. Okay, that's number one. Number two, heat salty. So I will deliver you from slavery. So this is about taking physical steps, taking action. You can realize that you're not free, but you have to do it. And so, maybe there was inspiration or like some energy that came down that sort of helped us, but basically it's inner work. It's your own work. You have to do the work. It's not, God didn't take everybody and like dump them on the outside of Egypt. I mean, you really have to do it. And it turns out not all the Israelites left. We understand this. Not everybody had the courage to leave and to take the risk. And I would say that most of the people that I know today are more comfortable in the pain they know and not willing to leave so much. And even if you do, it can take a long time until you think, oh, okay, I can do this. And I'm one of those people. I was in a marriage that was like very much not serving me. And I knew I needed to leave, but I kept not knowing it and think, well, maybe, but, and it took me 2 years. I'm out, but, this is just, I think, the human condition. There's very few people who are comfortable with change, let alone this kind of change where you're really changing your life, going away from everything that sometimes. Third step, Ga'alti, I will redeem you. You have to redeem yourself. Redemption is being who you are, knowing who you are, all of who you are, and being that person. And it's a question of what is yours to do in this life? Are you doing it? So you may have so many capabilities or so many ideas about what you want to do. Do you do all of them? Were you told that, you wouldn't be able to do it? Do you absorb that so you think, you're not good enough to do it? I don't know how many times I've read stories about actors and sports people, stars in their field, who were told by, their coaches and all kinds of people, like, this is not for you. You're not good enough. And you can absorb that and you can take that in. Or it's just not what you can do. You can't do that if you're a boy. You can't do that if you're a girl. I mean, I was told in the 70s, early 70s, when I decided I wanted to be a lawyer, I told my family and they said, oh, that's for men. You don't want to do that. You can't do that. But because of having wound my way out of being a prisoner earlier in my life, anytime somebody said that to me, even if I wasn't sure I wanted to do it, now I was going to do it. So I did it. And I was a lawyer for 30 years. And then when I was 50, I thought, this is enough of this. I want to be a rabbi. And I told my family, and they said, oh, you're too old. I'm a rabbi. Yeah. Yeah. But it's hard. It's really hard. So one of the words for freedom in Hebrew is atzmaut, like Yom HaAtzmaut. And the root of that is etzem, ayin sadi mem, which is both bone and essence. So the core of freedom is to be the essence of who you are, to be that person. Takes a lot of culture. The first story in Torah where people are doing something like that is not about the Israelites leaving Egypt. It's about Abraham. He was told that he had to go away from his native land, go away from his father's house, to be able to do this, which was pretty much true. Lech lecha, and then you go to yourself, be who you are. And he was not told that until his father died. He was not able to even hear it until his father died. So he had already traveled with his father away from his homeland, but it still took Terach dying before he was told, Lech lecha, go to yourself. So, you know, that's actually almost when you're making a big shift, you really do have to go away from your culture and from your family and whatever. And there's something to fear, maybe people won't like you, maybe they'll shun you, maybe they'll think, oh, you're crazy, or maybe you're just, they wouldn't understand even who you are. And so some people don't. I feel sad about that. It took me a long time, but I'm doing what is me now, a lawyer. I don't even know what that was anymore, but yeah, I'm very much me, and it's such a dangerous slope when people start telling you, this is who you are. I always found it very easy to learn things when I was young, and the first time that it wasn't immediately easy and I had to put any effort in at all, I was in ninth grade, and all of a sudden math was hard. And I didn't understand. I thought, oh my God, I'm not good at math. And I went to my teacher, and I talked to him. He said, oh, don't worry. Girls often find math hard. Oh, I could just like strangle him thinking about it. But I bought that, and it didn't occur to me. And he didn't say, work harder or I'll help you. It's like, you're just not going to be good at this. So I didn't do very well until my junior year of high school, and I was shocked. I don't know why I was shocked, because I knew I hadn't really learned the math. To have a very poor math score on my SAT, and I was really freaked out because I knew where I wanted to go to college, and this wasn't going to get me there. So I sat down with the book, the Barron's book, and you went through everything and taught myself math, and then I didn't even think, can I do it or can't do it? It was like, I have to do this. And my score went up 200 points, and my guidance counselor called me down to talk, and he said, I thought you weren't good at math. Yeah, that's what I thought too. I guess I was wrong. Yeah, but it's hard. Some people just get stuck in what they think they can't do. And sometimes it's a question of how important something is to you. One of my favorite quotes is from Walt Whitman, in the book Leaves of Grass, and he said that you should re-examine all you have been taught in school, in church, or in any book, and dismiss what insults your soul. Isn't that beautiful? It's what to live by if you want to be free. If your whole community is doing something and it just, oh God, why are we doing this? Be the person that doesn't do it. See what happens. It's risky. It's risky, but it's just it's good. Um, we're recording this, right? I'm gonna say it
Yes,
anyway.
we are.
Okay.
Definitely.
So when I was in rabbinic school, we were studying the Kedushat Levi, a Hasidic master, and he taught that you and everybody else has something to do that nobody else can do. That you come in with things to fix in the world, things to fix about yourself, and there are thousands of wonderful things to do in the world that will do a tikkun and do help, and that you will enjoy. But if you're not doing the thing that you came in to do, you're not going to feel so satisfied. This is the background to the next thing that I learned that he said, which is there was a text somewhere now I can't remember where it was, a text that said, supposedly God speaking, a new Torah will come from me. And he's, what is that? And then he goes on to say that the Torah is black letters, black fire on white fire. And it's the only language that exists, I think still true, where there is the male side and the female side. So the black letters are the male side, the intellect, the verbal, and the white spaces are the female. And that in times to come, and I think it's in a Wamhabais, and which means sort of like when Messiah comes, when everything is right, we will be able to access these white spaces and see what's there. And there's more there than there is in the black. And I went and I talked to my teacher. I said, well, what do you think about this? And he said, well, it's for another time. It's not now. People can't do that now. Ha, you can do it. I did it. And what there is not words. They're not words there. They're pictures, the female, the images. I think one of the reasons it's so strong against this prohibition against making images was, wow, that would bring in the female, God forbid. Beautiful, beautiful things. The first time I did it, I went between the shin and the mem, the sh and the m of Shema. And I saw a bear, a real bear, sitting on the forest floor, and he was holding a pot of honey, and there was a bee buzzing around his head. So when you get these pictures, they're not like translated for you. You have to understand. And it could be somebody else would see a different picture and get the message. But the message I got, knowing bears or want to hibernate and just go inside, is instead of listening outside, that for our age, we need to be listening inside. And the bee is a Deborah in Hebrew. And Deborah is also the only female prophet that's recorded in our Torah, actually in the whole of the Bible, the whole of Tanakh. So I'm like, it's the female voice that's going to come through. I told one teacher, and he said, do not tell anybody else you've done this. Oops. Yeah. Yes, Larry.
Another thing that we have outside of the black letters in the Torah are midrash, the stories that we tell to supplement the Torah, originally from the rabbis, but these have evolved over the years. But I wanted to briefly mention one midrash, Rabbi, because it ties back to action. Nachmon was the first Hebrew to actually step into the Red Sea. You will not find his name in Exodus,
Yeah.
but there's a wonderful midrash that someone had to take the first step. And this midrash is really a combination of courage, of faith, of leadership. Someone had to take that first step. And when you were talking before about action as step two, I immediately thought about Nachmon. I just wanted to mention it now because this goes beyond the black letters of Torah.
Thank you. Yes, the midrash is a very powerful tool that the rabbis have. And sometimes it's even in the black letters themselves. There are many meanings in a lot of Hebrew words. And originally, of course, there were no vowels. And so one word could mean like a number of different things. But because we're so far away from the original and the words have been greatly narrowed and a lot of their meanings taken away so that it comports with what the hierarchy wanted to see. And so that has actually, there's another hand, okay. So there's midrash, there's going back to the original meanings, and you can see that in the cognate languages at the time, Arabic and Aramaic and whatever. So there's a lot of different ways you can free yourself a little from the current. But thank you for mentioning that about midrash. It's very powerful. Okay, Dove and somebody else. Dove, go ahead. You still want to talk, Deb?
Sorry, didn't get to lower my hand before. Sorry.
Oh, okay. And Ellen, did you have something you wanted to say? Or is this an old hand zone?
Well, my hands are a little old, but I just wanted to sort of dovetail on what Larry was saying and, just talk about freedom and courage and, being the first or being one who's willing to stand up or raise one's hand or go forth. The women go right after, right? Isn't that the story? And then when I think of the whole sort of Miriam's well and all those versions of this larger story, you have these sacred midwives, you have Miriam herself as a prophetic voice. And we had a workshop earlier on prophecy. And so I'm just kind of thinking about that and finding courage and a lot of inspiration in the times that we live in now. Trying to, I don't know, when I say inspire, I mean like not just inspiration, but breathe in their thousands-year-old courage and lessons.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, okay. I'm going to take a detour off of my outline, which is always a very freeing thing to do, and talk about Miriam for a little while. Miriam was the most free person in Tanakh. Miriam was more free than Moses. Shocking, but I'm actually quoting from a Hasidic master, Me'or B'Shemesh, who said that she was at a much higher level of consciousness. I don't think he used that word, but at a higher level, and I understood it to be about consciousness and freedom, maybe. Because when they were at the Sea of Reeds, she sang Miriam Ta'an Miriam in the present tense, and Moses, before he started the Song of the Sea, he said, Az Yashir, he will sing. So she was aware of a higher way of being. She embodied it. She led all of the women, not just some of the women, all the women, so everyone's included, into a circle dance, which is a very egalitarian kind of way to be. No real leader, just everyone together. And Moses didn't do it. And so yeah, she's really diminished in Torah. You have to really, read between the lines and very carefully to see that, what she was and what a great prophet she was. The circle dance has been described by a number of Hasidic people as the world to come. It will be, and not necessarily when everything is perfect and the Messiah is here, but we're edging into that now, more egalitarian, more. I know this force is working against it, but things are more collaborative and than they have been, certainly in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And we're getting there. So, she's maligned in Torah. I tend to think that unfairly, that she was like punished for gossiping with Aaron and he's not punished and she is, what is that? So, we can see her as really quite a leader. She led the women, and they all probably were at a higher level than all of the men, because even though everyone was just freed as they're standing at the Sea of Reeds, the women were not physically freed. So you can be at a greater level of freedom in your heart and in your mind and more at peace, even if you are not exactly free in a physical way. Okay, that was an interesting detour. Hopefully everyone understood. If you have questions, let me know, but that inspired me to go off on that. Was there a hand up? Eileen, is your hand moving or you just, no? Okay, all right. Yeah, Miriam. So just a little bit more about why the circle is so profound. There's Kabbalah on the fact that, and some of the Hasidic masters talk about this too, that when the world was first being created, it came down and in a circular kind of form. And it was realized that the beings that existed were not going to be able to do that, that they were very young and needed a hierarchical form where there was somebody telling them what to do from above, God above, and then the men and within the men, the hierarchy of priests and whatever, and prophets. And it got to be a very strained kind of hierarchy and not necessarily what we needed, but ugly. But in times to come, a couple of Hasidic masters said this. Oh, and Chaim Vital wrote this also, who translated a lot of the Kabbalah, that in times to come, after we evolve more, we'll go back to the circle. And the circle dance is symbolic of that kind of collaborative equality and also generative. And so when women were dancing here at the Sea of Reeds, they were actually bringing that energy, which was not going to be universal for quite some time, but maybe we're edging back there now. Okay, back to freedom. The final one. It's very interesting. Wakakti. So wakach means to take, and God was saying, Wakakti etchem li la'am. I am going to take you to me to be a people. Wakakti has other connotations. Somewhere in Genesis 24, Abraham's servant is told to go and find and take in marriage for Isaac a wife. So Wakakti can be to take in marriage. The Arabic cognate to this word is to conceive or to impregnate. So I want to say that there was a very different meaning lying in wait for us here, that when we were able to understand it, that God is saying, I'm going to be together with you in a very real way. I'm going to merge with you. I am going to be at your heart space. Yeah. So I have long thought this. I call it, with all due respect, a little chip off the old block in each of us, residing in our heart space. And this source being within you is a refinement really of being who you are, because it's at your core who you really, really are. It's just part of the all, part of the source. And we have so many things that we can do that we don't know because we don't own and realize that we are this being. Not like God, source, whatever entirely, but some aspects of that are in us, and there are things that we can do. When some people do this, they're othered. It's like, oh yeah, that's just that person. But I talk to people all the time who are not physically present. Some of them are now not on the planet any longer, and some of them are. Everyone can do this. The only reason you can't do it is you think you can. We have so many abilities, so many abilities. Okay, I found this great text that supports God inside. It's from Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs. And it's just 4 lines. I'm going to read them and then translate them as they're usually translated, and then I'm going to retranslate them. Ani Yeshena, I am asleep, v'li the air, but my heart is awake. Kol Dodi Dofek, the voice of my beloved, which most people understand as God, knocks. Pikili, I open to me. My translation. Ani Yeshena, the small consciousness is what I am aware of, this small consciousness of Mochin de Kadnut, the Hasidim say, the Levi air, but my heart is got a large consciousness and awareness, Mochin de Kadnut. Kol Dodi, the voice of Source, God, Dofek, Rabbi Nachman in Wikutei Moharan says Dofek is the heartbeat. The knocking of God, wake up, is the heartbeat for all of us. Peacefully, and I open to myself, and that's where I find Source inside me, God inside me. God is every moment knocking for your attention within you, in your soul. And when you can be aware of this, what you'll feel is love, ahava, but not like a human love, a big love. Sometimes you can feel it and not realize what you're feeling. But the person, was it Larry, who said that for a minute he felt maybe something like love. That's what you can feel. Not if you go with your mind. That it's a feeling that's really maybe fleeting if you ever feel it. It's beyond what humans can do because it's non-judgmental, totally non-judgmental, totally without any limits. The closest I think people come is sometimes a parent for a child. But it's so freeing to feel that for the person that feels it and for the person who it's directed towards. It's just amazingly freeing. So just to tell you, I have thought this for a long time. I was so happy to see that Nachman was supporting it. But I did go into the white spaces of Kol Dodi. And 3 things came up. The first was personal, and I'm not going to discuss it. It wasn't for other people, but for everyone else. And the thing I saw was a pink flamingo. The pink is the energy of love. And the flamingo, and I had to ask afterwards, like, what was that? And what I got is, even though this is so deep and in some ways serious, it's enlightening to understand that you have this ability. And so you need to be light about it. You need to have a little humor. And the flamingo, if you ever see them walking around and the funny, akimbo legs, they walk sort of comically and they flap their wings sort of comically when they try to fly. And it's like, okay, it's not just about serious and deep. It's just a lightening. And the third thing I got, and I haven't gotten this about anything else, I always get images. I got words. The great peace. And I sat with this and I realized that if you can get to this place of, I mean, it's in everyone, but if you know it at any level, it's a great peace for you. And if enough people feel it, and it probably doesn't even need to be a majority of people, just a big minority, we will have a great peace on this planet. So this knocking, there is a huge desire to be known, to be in relationship with Source. I say Source because I don't want to limit into your ideas about what God are, and that sometimes gets in intercourse, so I use the word Source. But God, if you wish, wants to be connected, wants to be, wants us to be aware, more aware, bringing up who we are. And this isn't God or source per se, but it is some of the conscious energy that's all around us that we think is just empty space, but is not. Has anyone here done laundry a lot and miss one of a pair of socks? And you never find that other sock? And does it happen more than once? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Here it is. This is the energies of the universe knocking, saying, hey, there's so much more here. You're not paying attention. Because I don't know, for years this would happen to me, and I would never ask what's going on. I would say, what is this, but not like asking, just being exasperated, right? This happened to me for years, ever since I was in college and doing my own laundry. So for 50 freaking years, how many socks were lost? And some of them, if they were really favorites, usually it was like my favorite socks. I don't know what that was about. And I would like, eventually I'm going to freaking find the socks. Yeah. When I left my home in New Jersey to move up here for prep school in Boston, I thought now, and I'm clearing out my house. There was like nothing in it. I sold my house and there was not a thing there. And I thought, now I'm going to find socks, right? No. When I was here, again, a couple of times I missed the socks. And I given up on that. But at one point, you know what mesh laundry bags are? You put like delicate things in so they don't get all screwed up. I don't wash anything by hand. So yes, I had a lot of them, like 5, 6, 7, whatever. And then, and I'm the only one that lives in this place and does laundry here. And I started missing the laundry bags. I'm like, what? But again, that's right. Until a couple of weeks later, 4 new laundry bags show up. They're of a kind that were definitely different from the ones I had, very stiff, like new. What? So now I ask, I sit, and I usually, when something happens and I don't understand it, I meditate, I sit with it and I just ask, see if I get an answer. And now I'm asking, all right, I'm asking you, like, what's going on? And I got this response. You don't understand the energies. You don't understand so much. You have a very limited, we're trying to talk to you. We're trying to talk to you, It's time to pay attention to understand that the world is so much bigger and different and deeper than you're thinking. So many different frequencies and whatever. And where did those laundry bags go? They're right there. You can't access them. They're at a different frequency. They won't come back. But they're there. You just can't access them. And I gasped and I said, oh my God, the socks. And they said, yes, the socks, it's the same thing. And I said, oh, but it's not me. It's not like I'm special. Like I know so many people. And they said, that's right. You are special, but this is not the proof. It says everybody. We're trying to wake people up. We're trying to get people to like step up. It goes out to everybody. I don't know anybody that does laundry that doesn't use the socks. And they said, that's right. You get it? Everybody's special. So being free is taking the risk to know things that maybe you wouldn't even think to ask about, to be all who you came in to be. So that's about it. Don't feel bad if in any of these 4 freedoms you haven't achieved it. I haven't either. I just try really hard.
Thank you, Rabbi Yasha Koach.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that wonderful session.
תודה רבה. תודה
Well,
רבה.
questions or no? Irina, are we done? Are we out of time?
You could go on a little bit longer. Yeah, the next session's at 1, for anyone who's staying. It's choosing a new concept of God with Rav Tiferet Berenbaum.
Oh, too short. Okay, just if there are questions, I'm not going to bring up any of the things I didn't get to, but if there are questions.
I just wanted to thank you for that image of the women dancing in a circle and how we were always intended to be in that more circular space, or at least that's how it originally was. And I guess maybe that's the Tikkun Olam of preparing this earth and bringing it back to that space. And if you have anything more to add to that, I would really appreciate it.
Oh, there's a lot. I don't know. I would recommend, so I do Israeli folk dancing every week, and mostly I love the circle dances. And even after I found out about them, I love them even more. If you want to, I have written, is my email up there? If you want to send me something, I wrote a couple of papers about Miriam and the circle dance.
It's not up
Can you
here.
give us your email?
Gonna
Yeah, I can put it in the chat maybe, or
And I can give you the citations. Oh, there's 20 people. I sorry, I haven't. Can I save this chat? How do I save it?
I believe it will automatically be saved, actually.
Really?
Are you trying to, you wanted to know all the participants? Is that?
So I could see what people commented that I didn't have.
Oh, sure. Let me ask really quickly. Let me find that out for you if it's recorded. I believe it is, because the whole thing, when it's recorded, I think the chat comes as well.
Now you have my email. Can I look at the recording of the session also?
Yeah, that's no problem. I'm just finding out really quickly about the chat, but I believe it's yes.
These days, Dov, I'm teaching online, and I'm probably going to have another. I do 6 sessions at a time on different topics, and then probably freedom will be next, because in 50 minutes I don't get to say everything I want to say. Ari, do you want to say something?
Thank you so much. I came in a little late, but I saw in your description that there was a mention of the possibility of a song, and I was just wondering, is that something you're performing, or do you have a link of maybe a song you were thinking of that we might look up in the transition?
Well, I was actually singing it, but wordlessly. There's a nigun to the Ani Yashena from Song of Songs. I'll just sing it really quick. Ani Yashena, Libier, Libier, Kol Dodi Dofek, Peace. You can find it online if you do YouTube or whatever, and it's Ani Yashena. It's from Song of Songs. Oh, we didn't send out. If you want to, Irina, can you put the source sheet up? It's Song of Songs, chapter 5, verse 2 is where those words come from. I was asleep, but my heart is awake. Called the heartbeat is beating, knocking, and I open myself to find God. We were going to do that. It got away from me.
It's okay. Let me find it.
Thank you for bringing it in.
So you can go to if you want to find me online. So I'm Rabbi Ora Weiss on Facebook, and you can also write to me at my email, and I will let you know stuff that you can find. But I have some of the things that I've published are on my website at rabbioraweiss.com and on Facebook. Okay.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Gonna
Thank-
turn recording off.
Thank you.
Okay.